So, hi, how many of you have ever watched a show like CSI Miami or Dexter and wondered how realistic they are? What if I told you that they are more fiction than fact? In general, the processes on these crime shows are extremely accelerated. For example, it doesn't take 20 seconds to analyze DNA or fingerprints like it does on Dexter. These shows are incredibly misleading and often lead to the CSI effect. The job of a CSI is not as easy as it may seem on these shows. In real life, CSIs don't have all that high-tech equipment seen on Dexter and CSI Miami. Often, they have to resort to old-school methods such as lifting prints using print powder tape. My mentor's name is Nadine, and she's an investigator from Douglas County. She started off as a law enforcement officer for 18 years, spent 12 as a detective, and is currently a field training officer on the side. In the photo on the left, she's pictured second from the right. CSIs, detectives, and forensic specialists follow many protocols to preserve a crime scene. So what happens before, during, and after a crime scene investigation? When police first arrive at a scene, they make sure the public is safe, and then they block off the area. Shortly after, the CSIs arrive, make sure the area is secure, and do an initial walk to get a feel of the crime scene. During this, they make note of any potential evidence without touching anything. Then, they document the scene by taking photos and drawing sketches. Then, they finally get to touch the evidence very carefully, tag it, log it, and package it so it remains intact on its way to the crime lab. Once the evidence gets taken to the lab, it gets processed, which can take several weeks or sometimes even longer than that. Later, the results are sent directly to the lead detective on the case. And now, if this happened in Douglas County, there's a good chance that that lead detective could be Nadine. The unique patterns on your fingertips are caused by ridges in the dermis, the bottom layer of your skin. Everybody's fingerprint is different. There are no two that are alike. Certain fingerprints are visible. You can see marks left on a surface by oily fingers or fingers that have some sort of substance on them. Dusting is usually used for these type of fingerprints. The photo on the left is a fingerprint dusting station used by crime scene investigators and other law enforcement. Other prints are latent, meaning that you can't see them with the naked eye. They're left by sweat. The superglue or cyanoacrylate method is a forensic science technique that uses the vapors of superglue to develop latent fingerprints. The fuming is done in a developing chamber, shown in the photo on the right, that uses superglue and water. This allows the vapors to adhere to the fingerprint and make it visible to us.
Alright, so to begin dusting for fingerprints, we're going to need several things. We're going to need clear tape to transfer the fingerprint from the surface onto our clear acetate slides, which is pretty much just a thin plastic. And we will also need a titanium dioxide-based fingerprint powder. And we will also need a nice fluffy brush that isn't too dense. So dusting, which is the method that I'm going to be showing to you today, is typically used for fingerprints like this that are visible to the eye. These are typically left by oily fingers or fingers that have some kind of residue left on them. Fingerprints that aren't visible to the naked eye, that was when we would typically use fuming, which is a process using super glue and water. Okay, so to get started, the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take our brush and go ahead and dip it into the titanium dioxide powder. We're going to want to go ahead and tap off the extra because we don't want too much to get in the way of our fingerprint. So I'm going to go ahead and start dusting up above the fingerprint because we don't want too many powder directly on the fingerprints. And if you notice that the fingerprints go in more of a swirl, so we're going to want to take the brush very lightly to avoid smearing, and we're going to want to go in the direction of the fingerprints. And the reason why we do this is it further develops the prints for us to see. All right, and now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and get our clear tape. All right, so now we got our tape, so we're going to want to put our tape over here, create an anchor point. And then we're going to want to create another anchor point. over here at the end, we're going to want to slightly smooth our finger very lightly across the top of the print so that we don't ruin any of the pattern, and then create another anchor. And then we're just going to very lightly go over the print just to make sure that the tape picks it up. All right, now that that's done, we're going to want to rip it off like a Band-Aid. And there we go. We have our prints. So next we're going to take our prints from the paper and we're just going to add it to the sheet of acetate and create another anchor point, just like we did on the window, and smooth it over. And there we have it. Those are our prints over on the paper. See there, you can see all of the loops and everything. All right.
So what happens when the investigation eventually brings about a suspect? In custody, to be read rights, you have to be asking questions about the crime that they're in custody for. A custodial interrogation is an interrogation of a person suspected to be directly involved in a crime. Miranda rights only apply when it's a non-consensual contact. Miranda rights are what follows. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, an attorney will be provided for you. Do you understand the rights I have read to you? With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? After these rights are read to you, you are then given a paper to sign, either saying that you understand your rights or that you are choosing to waive your rights. A behealer allows us to talk about a crime without your Miranda rights applying. A behealer is as follows. You're not under arrest. You're free to leave at any time. If you decline to speak in this scenario, I can't talk to you unless it's been 10 days or you come to speak to me first. Why did I choose this topic? I chose this topic because my mother and I have always watched true crime TV shows together, such as Dexter, Homicide Hunter, and Investigation Discovery. It's always interested me, and I've always wondered if they're realistic in any way. I am also very interested in what goes on behind the scenes of many crime scene investigations, and if that compares to the show in any way. How does my short story relate to criminal investigations? Although the story I wrote is completely fiction, many of the steps my main character Sam takes aren't. All crime scene investigations are filled with Miranda rights, crime custodial rights, behealers, and certain procedures. Detectives and forensic specialists follow many rigorous steps to bring justice to preserve a crime scene and preserve evidence. The procedures help put people, like my antagonist Brad, away for good. What has this project taught me about myself? Throughout both this pandemic and this project, I have learned that stuff happens, and it's up to me to make the best of it. Certain parts of this project, such as procrastination, the struggles of COVID, and meeting with my mentor, have all been hard at times. I've learned that if things keep coming up that I didn't plan for, or are just flat out exhausting, that it's important to keep on pushing no matter what. Most importantly, I discovered that learning can be fun if you at least enjoy what you're doing. How has this experience influenced my future plans/choices? This entire project has given me the wonderful opportunity of exploring a possible career path without the lifetime commitment. Talking with my mentor and witnessing her average workday has shown me that a 9-to-5 desk job is definitely not for me. This experience has really shown me the importance of forensic sciences and criminal investigations to the justice system and all of our well-being. Criminal investigators, like my mentor Nadine, play a key role in delivering justice to crime victims. This experience has taught me the importance of that role in my everyday life, which I never really paid much attention to. Because of this, I've cleared my brain of the fiction of most crime shows and have learned that their jobs are not that easy or simple. Thank you.